In a grand kingdom there was a young prince named Rowan. He admired his father, King Milo, who ruled with wisdom and fairness. But as the prince watched his father, he often felt a heavy burden in his heart, the responsibility of one day wearing the crown. The people of the kingdom loved King Milo, and Rowan could not help but wonder if he would ever be able to live up to such a legacy. He spent countless hours observing his father, trying to learn every little detail about what it meant to rule. But no matter how much he observed, he could never shake the feeling that he wasn't quite ready to bear the immense weight of leadership. One fateful day, the king grew ill, and his condition worsened with each passing hour. The kingdom's healers were summoned, but despite their best efforts, King Milo's strength faded quickly. With a solemn heart, King Milo called his son to his side. "Rowan," the king said, his voice weak but steady, "I have no more time. It is now your turn to lead our kingdom. Take this crown, my son. Rule with wisdom, fairness, and compassion." As the golden crown was placed upon Rowan's head, he felt a wave of emotion, fear, doubt, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. The weight of the crown was not just physical, but deeply emotional. Every choice from then on would affect the lives of thousands: taxes, trade, justice. Each decision was fraught with consequences. Rowan found himself standing in his father's shadow, and he feared making the wrong choices that could harm the very people he was meant to protect. As the days passed, Rowan's uncertainty grew. His nights were restless, filled with worry about his ability to rule. One evening, after yet another sleepless night, he wandered into the royal gardens, troubled and unsure. The vibrant flowers and towering trees, which had always been a source of peace for him, now seemed distant and foreign. He found an old gardener working among the flowers, his hands weathered from years of tending the land. The gardener, seeing the prince's distress, paused in his work and looked up with kind, wise eyes. "Your Highness, what troubles you?" the gardener asked gently. Rowan sank onto a nearby stone bench, sighing deeply. "I don't know if I'm ready to bear the weight of this crown," he confessed. "Every decision I make feels so heavy. I fear that my choices might harm the kingdom, that I'm not enough to lead them as my father did." The gardener studied Rowan for a moment before offering a reassuring smile. "Let me share something with you," he said, motioning for the prince to sit beside him, and began telling his story. "When I was a young man, I inherited a garden from my father. It was wild and overrun with weeds. I didn't know where to begin. The task felt impossible, and for many days I did nothing but stare at the chaos, feeling helpless. But one morning, I decided to start small, just clearing a small patch. It wasn't much, but I made progress. And as I continued day by day, the garden began to thrive. The weeds faded, and soon the flowers bloomed again." Rowan listened closely, his brow furrowing as he absorbed the gardener's words. The gardener continued, "You see, the weight of a garden or a kingdom is not carried all at once. It is carried one step at a time. The key is not to try and do everything at once, but to focus on the present. If you take on the burden of the future, it will crush you. But if you take one small step each day, in time, the weight becomes manageable." Rowan sat quietly for a long time, reflecting on the gardener's words. He realized that the gardener was right. Leadership wasn't about making perfect choices all at once. It wasn't about having all the answers immediately, but about taking the next step with care, compassion, and wisdom. He understood now that his fear wasn't about the size of the task ahead, but the way he was trying to carry it all in one go. By focusing on one day at a time, he could bear the weight of the crown. From that day forward, Rowan ruled with newfound clarity. He no longer worried about the entire future of his kingdom at once. Instead, he made decisions with his heart, focusing on what needed to be done today. He consulted with wise advisors, listened to his people, and trusted his instincts. Though the weight of the crown did not diminish, Rowan grew stronger in bearing it. Each decision he made, no matter how small, was one step closer to a stronger, more just kingdom. The people of the kingdom began to notice a change in their young prince, where once they saw uncertainty, they now saw resolve. Rowan's actions, though measured, inspired trust in his leadership. He no longer feared making mistakes, because he had learned that mistakes were part of the process. What mattered most was the intention behind each choice, the desire to do good, to lead with compassion, and to take responsibility for the consequences. And so, Rowan ruled not as a perfect king, but as one who carried his crown with humility and wisdom. He understood that leadership was not about perfection. It was about making choices with integrity, step by step, one decision at a time. The weight of responsibility may feel overwhelming, but Rowan had learned that true leadership is about taking one step at a time. Trust yourself, act with integrity, and remember that the burden becomes lighter when you focus on today, not tomorrow. With this understanding, Rowan found peace in his rule, and his kingdom flourished under his steady hand.